afternoon. You're on to Panorama, coming to you live from NTA Kaduna Network Center. My name is Abdullah Mohammed. The program this afternoon will focus on rape and child molestation. But before then, the news making the rounds. Don't go away.
I wish to once again commend the frontline workers across the country who, on a daily basis, risk everything to ensure we win this fight. For those who got infected in the line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has resolved to do everything within its powers towards mitigating political crisis in the Republic of Mali. To this end, an extraordinary meeting of heads of states and governments of the sub-regional organizations to be held on Monday next week to further deliberate on issues raised at Bamako mediation talks with a view to finding lasting solutions. State House correspondent Adamu Samba reports that President Muhammadu Buhari, who participated in the peace talks, is back in Abuja.
The coronavirus pandemic notwithstanding, President Muhammadu Buhari and 4 other West African leaders converged on Bamako, the Republic of Mali, on a crucial mission critical to peace, security, sustainable democracy, and development in the West African nation. Their engagement was in furtherance of the ECOWAS mediation mission led by Dr. Goodluck Jonathan to broker peace and compromise amongst the political actors. Therefore, apart from listening to a formal briefing by the former President Goodluck Jonathan on the ECOWAS mediation efforts, President Muhammadu Buhari and his counterparts from Niger, Ghana, Senegal, and Cote d'Ivoire held talks with the leader of the opposition, Imam Mahamoud Dicko, representatives of the Opposition Alliance, M5, and the civil society organizations. The host president, Ibrahim Keita, also briefed the heads of state and government on the socio-political situation in the country, especially the disagreements that spiraled into protest and violence. ECOWAS chairman and president of Niger, Muhammadu Isufu, who briefed journalists after the talks that lasted more than 8 hours, said the sub-regional leaders have agreed that there would be need for a compromise to protect the peace and integrity of the West African nation. He emphasized that allowing a political crisis to fester in Mali would affect the security situation in West Africa, especially the neighboring countries. President Isufu expressed optimism that a forthcoming extraordinary meeting of the ECOWAS leaders on Monday will chart the best way forward. Also speaking, Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo explained, however, that the ECOWAS protocol would be followed. He maintained that the tenet of democracy adopted by the sub-regional body clearly spells out that a president can only be voted into power and voted out by election except he completes his tenure. The Ghanaian leader noted that the protocol would be adhered to towards ensuring safety and peace in the sub-region. President Muhammadu Buhari, who has returned to Abuja in the early hours of Friday, was received at the airport by FCT Minister Muhammad Musa Bello, Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, Inspector General of Police, Mohamed Adamu, Director General, Department of State Services, Yusuf Magaji Bichi, and other senior government officials. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has welcomed the offer by the international community to support the successful execution of the National Economic Sustainability Plan. Vice President Oshimbajo applauded the commitment of the international community to support Nigeria's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the efforts to take advantage of the crisis to effect significant changes in the critical sectors of the Nigerian economy. At a virtual meeting with representatives of the international community from the United States, the European Union, United Kingdom, agencies of the United Nations, World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, the Vice President also restated government's condolences on the recent killing of 5 aid workers by Boko Haram insurgents. The resident and humanitarian coordinator of the United Nations system in Nigeria, Edward Kalon, and other members of the delegation commended the development and approval of the Economic Sustainability Plan, offering to assist in its implementation. The delegation plans to ensure there is an international alignment in support of the Nigerian government response to coronavirus pandemic. Education matters now. Schools will not reopen until safety measures for pupils and students are guaranteed by all stakeholders and tiers of government. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 gave this clarification at Thursday's briefing in Abuja. Let's now join Mitari Ikpen for details of that report.
The PTF says coronavirus is still very potent and spreading faster than human efforts to contain it.
We had to postpone the briefing for Monday, 20th July 2020, when the tweet from the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is a member of the Presidential Task Force, went viral. That singular piece of information in the public space is sufficient proof to Nigerians that the virus is real and does not discriminate. Testing of members has been a regular exercise for the PTF, and that policy would be sustained.
It doesn't know whether you are rich or poor, healthy or not, and it is absolutely not an elite disease.
On the Madagascar herbal drug,
the initial temporary result had shown that its main ingredient is the same as Artemisia annua, which is grown in Nigeria. While the preparation at high dose showed activity in reducing frequency of cough, it did not show any evidence that it has a real curative property against the COVID-19 virus.
The task force says it will not compromise safety ahead of school resumption.
The WAEC timetable, are you able to meet up with that date? Many states have come back to us and said they are unable to meet up with that date, which is why the Minister of Education explained that it will be dangerous to move children out on those dates, and that it is not proper for WAEC to then continue to insist on those dates. Therefore, we have requested that WAEC give us and the schools some time to meet up.
On the forthcoming Eid al-Kabir celebration, state governments are advised to discourage activities that could worsen community spread of coronavirus. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Immigration matters now. The Nigerian Immigration Service has resumed the issuance of e-passports and registration of foreigners, which was suspended due to the coronavirus pandemic. Jigawa State Comptroller of the service, Ismail Aliu, stated these when he visited the Emir of Dutse to seek for his collaboration in efforts to curtail the influx of bandits from neighboring countries. Awal Muhammad Kazauri reports.
The Nigerian Immigration Service is responsible for issuing of e-passports and registration of foreigners coming into the country. Emir of Dutse Alhaji Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi appreciated the cordial working relationship that exists between Dutse Emirate and the Nigerian Immigration Service. He explained that districts, village and ward heads have been playing a vital role in monitoring movements and strange faces in their domains and will report any suspicious movement to appropriate authority. The State Controller Nigerian Immigration Service, Ismail Ahmad Aliyu, said they were at the palace to seek for fatherly advice and royal blessing in connection with their work in Jigawa State. He explained that the issuance of e-passport and registration of foreigners have resumed after the coronavirus pandemic.
The issue of the passport to eligible Nigerians has now resumed. So any deserving Nigerian can come to the passport office and collect his passport now. But we still observe the COVID-19, the NDDC protocol.
The controller assures that his men are manning the state borders properly as directed by the president. Awal Muhammad Kazauri, NTA News.
It's now time to take a deep breath. We'll be back soon.
I wish to once again commend the frontline workers across the country who, on a daily basis, risk everything to ensure we win this fight. For those who got infected in the line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
Appreciate you for being there. Kano State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has arrested and paraded 5 suspects in connection with the sale of unauthorized registered SIM cards in the state. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that the breakthrough followed a directive by the Nigeria Communications Commission to checkmate and deal with perpetrators.
The prevalence of sales of registered SIM cards in northwest Nigeria, particularly Kano, is alarming, with increasing cases of criminal activities. This prompted the enforcement unit of the Nigerian Communications Commission to embark on operations with NSCDC in Kano, and 5 suspects were accused of such act. One of the suspects, George Eze, says he is ignorant of the rules and regulations guided the selling and registration of SIM cards until when the officials of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps trailed him.
So I bought the data SIM from a guy, and he said since I have a shop, he should bring and I sell for him. He comes to collect the money.
They have already mentioned some dealers, major dealers, who are supporting them in the exercise. So we want NSCDC to invite these major dealers, interrogate them, find out how do they come about the registered SIM cards, because SIM cards are to be personally registered.
These fraudsters are moving, and their action is against the NCC regulations, which the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps stand firm to curtail and also to prevent the general public from being cheated.
In another development, an 18-year-old Sani Muhammad is also accused of an attempt to rape a teenage girl in Dogwa local government area of the state.
I wish to call on the general public, particularly in relation to the rape matter, to be extra careful and follow their words very closely.
Kano Command of the NSCDC said all the accused persons will be charged to court after investigations. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Many thanks, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, there from Kano. And it's now time for us to take a look at the issue of rape and child molestation. In the studio I have with me Zainab Atoba. She is the chairperson, Kaduna State FIDA. Thank you for joining us this afternoon in our studios.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Zainab, I would like you to share with us, based on your experience following these issues of rape, especially as involve, underage. What are the red flags that you have seen so far?
Many of them. In fact, the issue of rape and defilement in Kaduna, as it concerns pedophiles, that people who rape young children are called, is very disturbing, and it is on the rise and increase by the day. And we have, it has become a problem. Every now and then I keep receiving calls from all over the place about young children who are being raped. As I speak with you, even yesterday we had that challenge.
But why is it so?
I don't really know. I don't know whether it is as a result of the lockdown. Some people blame it on the devil, but as far as we're concerned, it is on the increase. It is worrisome. It is an epidemic, and we have been going through this for some time, but this period, it is worse.
Have you, in the course of following up these cases, seen something that comes of that is related to a kind of superstitious belief or something like that, especially those ones that, abuse children?
Well, some people keep saying it may have something to do with rituals, but I don't know whether it is so. Some health personnel are saying these categories of people are called pedophiles, and as a result, maybe they have some kind of psychological problem that has to do with their minds. But if you ask me, I will hardly want to agree with them. I am in disagreement, because all the pedophiles so far that we have been able to get them arrested, when you interview them, some of them are even people who are engaged into these fetish practices. Okay. And I remember one was interviewed, a 60-something-year-old man, and he was asked, how long have you been doing this? He said, since when he was 40. He has been engaging in the defilement of young little children, minors. And they asked him, does it have anything to do with what he does? He said no. So at that point, I find it difficult to believe that is purely spiritual, because even young men are doing it. They are doing it to girls, they are doing it to young minors, boys. So here, I don't know what direction to place my thoughts, but it's disturbing. And I don't want to believe that it is, while I'm not believing that it is spiritual, I'm not in agreement with people who are saying it's a psychological problem. Because I mean, a 2-year-old, 1 year, 3 months, like the case I had yesterday, it was of a 2-year-old girl. She was barely being backed by her mother on the mother's back. We had to take her to the hospital and examine her, and the doctors confirmed that she was truly defiled. The perpetrator, anyway, has been arrested and is in police custody.
What's your take, looking at attitude of some parent who will always like to, close the matter? They don't want it to be, taken up to maybe for perpetrators to face the law. What's your take about those, that attitude about some parents?
I'm in total disagreement with parents who want to conceal this kind of thing happening to their children, and they don't want to come out to speak about it. Now, if nobody wants to speak about it for whatever reason, it means we won't get to the root of it. And all we have been trying to do is to let people know that we are here for them as FIDA, and so are other NGOs, that they can come to and lean on us to help them get the perpetrators to be brought to book. A
very quick one. What's your take as a lawyer? What do you think parents should do immediately after they suspect that something has happened to their children?
To quickly report to us or to the nearest police station or traditional ruler within that community. And I know that the police posts are all over the place.
Thank you very much, Zainab, for coming to us this afternoon. We're really grateful.
Thank you.
Moving on now, Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, has directed residents of flood-prone areas in the state to immediately vacate their houses to safer ground to mitigate the effect of the impending flood as the wet season reaches its peak. The directive was issued sequel to flooding incidences in some parts of Kaduna metropolis after pour down.
Experiences of Nusaiba, who just moved into an apartment in this building at Badiko.
I just came this house, not time. I never reached how many days. My wife was just pack on this house. Now water every day, water. Me, I don't tire.
Mohammed Balasambo lives here for over 2 decades. He says it is the first time the area is flooded.
The way to the express has been blocked because when they are building the express, they didn't consider the epoch of this stream. They just put some a ring about 3, which will carry all this water, but now the people are blocking it.
The water when they direct way, they pass, go down. They don't direct all the water come this side. That's why the water they come down here. They enter the people's house.
As the rains gradually get to its peak in the days ahead, SEMA says there will be an urgent need to distill the drainage system in some parts of the state.
We've started assessment right from the beginning. Now the water coming from Abapa, from Badiko axis, and Sokoto Road is passing through this governor road. And you can see now the terminal end of it is very, very poor. Where the outlet of water, where the water should flow to, is very, very narrow here.
This drainage collects water from over 3 major sources, but the exit point is narrow, considering the volume of water that comes. In Kaduna, Achari Maxwell, NTA News.
On a sad note now, the remains of combat helicopter pilot flying officer Tolu Lokpe Arotile have been laid to rest with full military honors in Abuja. Correspondent Naja Atutejani has details.
She has been laid to rest with full military honors with other heroes at the military cemetery Abuja amidst tears. Members of her family and several others were in attendance to bid farewell to the combat pilot and gallant officer.
That this young and confident first female combat helicopter pilot in the history of the Nigerian Air Force braved so many odds to get to where she was before her demise.
To the entire nation who mourn with our family and continue to show us love, we are sincerely grateful.
She has now been committed to Mother Earth. Her family and the Nigerian Air Force say her memory will live on. Naja Atutejani, NTA News. NTA News.
Meanwhile, in memory of the gallant officer, defense correspondent Naja Atutejani highlights the life and times of the combat helicopter pilots.
Known as Falcon 2-1 by her flying corps, late Arotile's story began in Kaduna State, where she was born to Mr. and Mrs. Akintunde Arotile of Ijumu Local Government Area, Kogi State. She attended the Air Force Primary School, Kaduna, and Air Force Secondary School, Kaduna. She later gained admission into the Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna, as a member of the 64 regular course in 2012. She majored in mathematics. She was commissioned into the Nigerian Air Force as a pilot officer in 2017 and was named as the first female combat helicopter pilot in the Nigerian Air Force on 15 October 2019 after completing her flying training in South Africa, an event which her father described as a dream come true for the young Arotile. She had a commercial pilot license and also underwent tactical flying training on the Augusta 109 power attack helicopter in Italy. She was therefore the person of choice to conduct President Muhammadu Buhari during the induction ceremony of the newly acquired Augusta 109 attack helicopter at the Eagle Square in Abuja, 14 July 2020 at the age of 24. Her death generated furore, but preliminary investigations into the incident involving 2 other persons, also her schoolmates, concluded it was an accident.
There is no iota of truth in any of these spurious allegations about foul play.
Her family recently relocated to Kogi State, where her community described her loss as a huge gap.
We have hope that many things will have come from her.
Nigerians share that sentiment, as indicated by the reactions and condolence messages and visits to her family and the Nigerian Air Force headquarters.
I pray that the Almighty God will console the air staff and the entire Air Force family and her family.
Very committed, very diligent, always ready to go on every mission assigned to her,
Flying Officer Tolulupe Rotile.
In 2015, I asked the chief of the air staff at the winging ceremony of 4 pilots in Kano when a female fighter pilot would be winged. Years later, Flying Officer Kafayat Sani, Nigeria's first female fighter pilot specializing in the Alpha Jet, and Flying Officer Tolulope Arotile, trained in the Augusta 109 Combat Attack Helicopter, became the fulfillment of that promise. Although Flying Officer Tolulope Arotile has passed on, the dream is still alive as 11 more female pilots are currently being trained by the Nigerian Air Force. In the meantime, Nigerians salute Flying Officer Tolulope Arotile.
So rest in peace. Before Panorama ends, we check a public service announcement. Stay with us. And that ends Panorama from NTA Kaduna Network Center. Thanks for being part of it. Goodbye.
There is a lot of fake news and report circulating, especially on social media, on the coronavirus. Do not believe or partake in the spread of these fake reports. If it is not on the official website or news from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disregard such report. Only together can we beat this virus. Only together can we overcome this pandemic. Follow the instructions and guidelines provided to combat this virus. Most importantly, stay at home. Self-isolate, regardless of your status. The virus doesn't move unless we move. Let us work together to better Nigeria. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.